Yo, what's happening, guys? It's the Fields Bros. So we have our second straight win for the Houston Rockets inside of this restart bubble that we have going on. Tonight it was the Milwaukee Bucks that was the opponent. Rockets won this game 120 to 116, led by Russell Westbrook. Uh, he led the team with 32 points, I believe, all around game. Harden, he had 24 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Uh, but that's the idea. Like this is a prime example of why the Rockets wanted to make a trade Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook, because even though James Harden averages 35 points a game, 36 points a game, whatever it is, every freaking year at this point, there are games when the dude's not gonna have 50 points. Like last game, he had 49 points. So you have a game where the dude doesn't have, you know, anywhere close to his average at 24 points. So this isn't exactly a game where you would need a Chris Paul having 17 points, having 15 to 18 points. You got to have a dude who can actually put up 30 some points if need be. And this is a prime example of why you want to make this trade. And having that second MVP caliber player on the floor is why the Rockets were able to win a game against a pretty good opponent. Now the Bucks, they dominated the glass in this game. They dominated the paint in this game. They have a taller team. This is what people said that was going to happen, but they said there was no way the Rockets could overcome this. I'm pretty sure that the Bucks were double-digit, favorites by some people I was hearing before this game, which to me is ridiculous. Uh, you have the three most recent MVP winners on the court, in Giannis, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. So you have, you know, all the ingredients for an incredible matchup. Uh, the media uh, definitely like the Bucks a lot, because normally, like when you have two really good teams like this playing, like as soon as the Bucks were up 6-0, like the announcer was immediately like, "Oh my God, the game's over." Giannis made one 3-point shot. Middleton, uh, Middleton opened the game with one 3-point shot, and then Giannis came down and hit that shot I just mentioned before that, and it was like 6-0, and the announcer was just all over the Bucks, raving about how great they are and how the game was over at that point, how we can't rebound or do anything, blah 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 blah. So the Rockets, the way they won this game, led by Westbrook, like I said, was they were able to not they didn't turn the ball over in this game relative to the Bucks. The Rockets had so many takeaways and steals that led to key runouts in this game. Just grabbing the ball and just taking it straight from the players with perfectly timed strips. And despite not having having a super tall team, we're able to play defense. We held the Bucks to 116, which isn't bad considering that they had like 30 more rebounds than our team. Think about that. How do you lose a game if you're the Bucks and Giannis has 38 points, like 100 rebounds, basically 20 rebounds, whatever he had. If Middleton has 26, 27 points. He started the game hot. You got DiVincenzo hitting shots. You got Brook Lopez getting rebounds. Uh, you know, you have all the points in the paint shots they have. How do you lose this game? The Bucks played their game exactly how they envisioned the game going in terms of their, how the game, played out for the most part. But the Rockets were able to overcome that. Like I said, they took 62 three-point shots in this game. They made 20 of them. So that's 60 points, maybe a couple more, but that's at least 60 points off just three-point shots. To the Bucks, they got 24 to 27 points off threes. So that's a huge discrepancy in three-point shots. Plus the points off turnovers, plus an advantage at the free throw line. And the Bucks were sloppy down the stretch. Maybe I shouldn't say sloppy though. The Rockets were very, very tenacious in defense. They're not the biggest team, but you can be tenacious in terms of your ability to get steals and play the pass lanes, your timing on your rebounds and strip attempts and contesting shots, chasing defenders out to the three-point line, making sure that we don't get beat at our own game. but the Bucks weren't trying to take that many threes anyways. They were trying to impose their will. So that was this game. It was this contrast of styles. The smash mouth uh, attacking style of the Bucks versus the rangy blitzkrieg attacking style of the Phoenix Suns. I almost said because of D'Antoni, of the Houston Rockets. So two impressive wins against two teams that I feel in the Mavericks and the Bucks who are gonna definitely knock out somebody in the playoffs. In my opinion, the Mavericks. I think that's a 7 seed nobody wants to play because these seeds are going to be interesting right now because there's no home court advantage. So it's all about these matchups. And right now, with the Rockets tied for the 4 seed, I believe, but like 4 seed, 5 seed, like that particular one doesn't even matter because you play the 4 and 5 seed are matched up against each other. It's at a neutral site anyways, and the winner still has to play the 1 seed. So the 4 seed is basically the 5 seed basically is going to function like the 4 seed. There's really no difference in this case because, or rather, in the 3 seed, which is the Nuggets right now, is going to be matched up with the 6 seed, which would be the Thunder, I believe. So out of all those teams, I'd rather the Rockets get matched up with the Utah Jazz or the Thunder or even the Denver Nuggets. I'd over the Mavericks, especially because the Mavericks have all the ingredients to knock out somebody. You've got Porzingis, you got Luka, you have some lightning rods on the team. Especially Luka. Like I definitely think like that particular matchup. I think out of all those teams I mentioned, Dallas would have the best shot against the Clippers. Paul George's health is always kind of shaky, but so is Porzingis. So there's that kind of like aspect right there. If like that's the battle in that series, if those two teams were to match up, the Paul George, uh, like if one of those two dudes goes down, like the other team pretty much has it. I feel like if Paul George goes down in the, or if he can't go all the way in Clippers Mavericks series, I feel like the Mavericks would have the advantage. Um, I feel like Dallas is extremely underrated. Luka could easily outplay Kawhi Leonard in a series in terms of just stats. Like Kawhi Leonard, he's obviously this is supposed to be a Rockets Bucks peer review, but we're kind of going into some other teams. But that's the nature of basketball, right? But I want to see Kawhi prove himself a little more. Like you're the reigning champion, right? So prove your worth a little bit. Knock out some important teams, some up and coming teams. You got a Warriors team last year that broke down. That you got dudes like Max Kellerman that want to just anoint you as the best player in the game when you didn't have to do what LeBron was trying to do and face and beat a prime Warriors team that was loaded to the gazills. Like Klay Thompson went down in that game 6. KD was out the whole series, and everybody knows that Kevin Durant, if he didn't get hurt, would probably be the best player in the game right now. Like he'd be averaging as much as Harden's averaging, like wherever he'd be at, 35 plus a game, like maybe even slightly more, like, and that's another MVP, player. Steph Curry, another MVP player, like so like anytime a team has a dude like that or two dudes like that, like the Warriors had or like the Rockets now do with Harden and Russ, like you can never write off teams like that. They have championship pedigree. They've got all the ingredients. It's just about getting those stops that you have to get down the stretch and making your free throws like you saw in this game. Westbrook was able to knock down 4 free throws in a row, big pressure free throws in the fourth quarter late in the game when a year ago he only shot like 64% at the line and missed a lot of free throws. And here in Houston, his percentage is up over 14%, 13 to 14%, back to where it's supposed to be. So I'm glad that, to see that Russ is, his production's definitely increased so much since coming to this Rockets team. This is at almost 10 minutes. We're going to go a little bit further. He's averaging over 30 points a game since the bubble has begun. Harden's averaging with his 2 games like 36, 37 ish. So a little over. They're both averaging a few more points per game than they did in the regular than they did before the lockdown. Westbrook was averaging 27.5. Now he's averaging like 31, 32. Harden was averaging 34, ish in the regular season. Now in the restart, he's averaging 37. So their scoring has gone up a little bit, partially because Eric Gordon went down with an ankle injury. So we're out a starter right now that's going to be able to knock down even more 3-point shots. So we still have one more cog that we can insert into that Houston offensive machine. And the most impressive thing that the Rockets have been able to display so far is their conditioning and being able to muster up stops and get key takeaways when they've had to get them. I think holding a tall team like the Bucks to 115 or 116 isn't too bad. Considering that the first half was actually a pretty good defensive half as well. Go back and watch that half. But so far, I'm impressed with what I've seen. I'll be honest. I'm impressed that we've been. Not that I didn't think they couldn't do it, but it's something that you want to see what your team's made of every now and again. So I'm glad to see us take some punches, take some shots, get rocked by some other teams and still come back and win the game. It's important for me to see that Russ and Harden can take blows from the other best players in the world and still find a way to come out on top. Like, it's important that Giannis having 39 and 19,000 rebounds doesn't finish off our team. That we can overcome that. And we're even out a starter in Eric Gordon, like I said. So keep them boys running, D'Antoni. You know what you're doing. This micro ball can work. Obviously, not every team has a Giannis that's going to get all these rebounds. But, if we can just figure out how to, manage to get these key stops when the game's on the line, we're going to be in good shape. So I'll leave it at that. Let's get game 3, one game at a time. Only 8 games total to determine the playoff seeding. Let's get it done.